Hey guys, Double Wide 6 here, and I'm going to be making a little video on what I've been doing in the shop. Basically, I have this assembly table that I do some woodworking projects on, and a lot of the small engine repair. It's just at a nice height to work. And I recently went to an auction, and I bought a lot of hardwood for building furniture and stuff. And along with the hardwood came a bunch of plywood and scrap wood, and I've used that to kind of create these little cubbies. Now these aren't done, and in this video I'm going to show you how I finish this off. But I used all scrap wood basically to build little drawers, and I put drawers on both sides of this thing. So there's one there, and I don't have handles on yet. And there's one on the back side. And I figured that this would be real handy for working with tools. So I'm going to get these all set up so that when I work up at this assembly table, I have everything that I need. So I've been making some changes to the garage. In my next few videos, I'm going to try and show you some of the things that I'm doing, and this is just the first kind of this series. But anyhow, this was just a standard 4-leg table, and I moved over my screwdriver holders, and I welded that on there, and I put another one on this side here, okay? And the reason that they actually got moved is because I built a MIG welding stand, and I used to have my screwdrivers up here, but I wanted to set the stand right at counter height, so I had to remove the screwdriver holders from each side there. And I'll talk a little bit more about that cart in the next series of videos that I do. It'll be coming up. So anyhow, I have these drawers basically roughed out, and you can see you know, there's particle board, there's some 2x4s, there's melamine. What happened was I went to this auction and I got just about 300 board foot of walnut and cherry, and here's a little piece that's actually left over. This is walnut rough sawn, and you know, I got all this wood, and I wasn't even planning on getting the lumber. I went to the auction because the guy's a neighbor, and he had all these tractors and stuff. So I went in there and I bid on these tractors that some were running, some weren't, but people just pay too much money for them. So I didn't even get any tractor. I got 300 board foot of wood. Some of it was the 4/4, and I did a little planing on some of this so you can get an eye or a view of what this stuff looks like. It is pretty nice stuff. It's actually air dried. I wish it was kiln dried, so you know, you have to remove a fair amount of material to get things nice and flat. But I built my daughter a shelf out of it, and the stuff's beautiful. In fact, when I made this welding stand, that handle there, that's a piece of that rough walnut that I just showed you. I cut that out over here. I have here you go, cut it right out of there on my homemade bandsaw. So I needed a handle that I could open with gloves on, and I wanted it to be easy to grip, so that's the good size handle there. So anyhow, the only other thing I wanted to show you is that these actually, all these little cubbies, these were cabinet doors from a kitchen, and it had like a raised molding going around it. So I was trying to clean up and get rid of some of this wood because I don't want to store it, and I just chipped this stuff off. Yeah, it doesn't look perfect, but these are all 3/4 inch boxes, and they're really solid. I did run out of, you know, I used all the cabinet doors because I had no use for them, and I had some melamine that I got, some plywood, you know, some of this T111 plywood. And I also took some of the wood, I put it up on the wall there because I'm going to make some more hanging tool stands up there. I find that really handy and nice. So I'm going to finish that up. And the only other thing that I did here is to get these drawers to slide. I just used a little paste wax, and I cut some of that cherry. I ripped it down to about 1/8 of an inch and put a track on each side. That way it kind of jacks the drawer up a little bit, because I don't have drawer slides per se. So I wanted to jack them up tight. The last thing that I need to do here is make the fronts for the drawer, and to do that I'm going to be using some cherry. So to try and make these drawer fronts, I picked up this table at the curb, and I got the whole thing. So you're looking at half of it, 2 legs there and the top. And this thing is actually solid cherry. It's all scratched up, but it's going to be perfect for what we're doing. I'm going to try and rip this down, and that way my grain will run straight across here for these drawers. Next thing I want to do is measure basically to the center of there. I'm going to have it come all the way out to this black pipe. So I'm looking at about 13 1/4. So we'll cut one there. So I cut the pieces to length. They're pretty much the length they're going to be, and I set up the spacing in between. I'm giving it about 1/8 of an inch, maybe even closer to 3/16. So I just kind of have them balanced on a level there. And the next thing I'm going to do is router the edges of this thing. So I'm just taking a look at my router bits, and I have quite a selection here. You know, even though this thing's just going to be in my garage, I was thinking that like this Roman OG is a real nice profile. The problem with running a decorative bit on cherry wood is that cherry tends to burn a little bit. And even though my table saw blade is razor sharp, you can see you get a little bit of burn there. It burns very easily, and I'm not going to be sanding this thing. At least I don't think I am. At least I don't feel like it. So I'm thinking the best choice for us would be a round over, and I think I'm going to go with a 3/8 inch round over, so that would be half of the thickness of the wood, which is 3/4. So we'll pull that bit, and that's why I'm choosing it. It shouldn't burn the wood. So I actually built my router table right into the table saw, and I made it so that I can use this fence like that, and then I made a sacrificial fence that goes right on top of there, and that's how I run my router. You got to keep in mind that the plan is from going from this rough, unfinished look to this. And you can tell that this looks much more finished than it did before. The cabinets obviously are smeared up and rustic and scratched. it's going to be in my shop. It's going to end up having spray paint and scratches and grease on it, so I'm not going to bother sanding it down, getting it perfect. And here's a good look at the routering. You can see the results are very professional, and it does make sense to take your time when you pick a bit. If you have a more difficult profile, you can just do it in more passes and take less off at a time. But cherry's pretty prone to getting burned, so you need to be careful when machining it. So I was going to make handles, but when I disassembled the drawer cubbies from the old cabinet doors, I got all these hinges and magnets and knobs. I'm just going to repurpose these knobs. Should be simple, and I'm hoping a drywall screw fits through them. So here's how we're going to center up these things. I'm going to start with the middle one because there's some leeway with the edge ones. And we're just going to put that on there and eyeball it and center it up the best that we can. I have it on that level, and I'm just going to attach it with 2 brads, just like that. And now it's attached to the drawer, and we're going to take our drywall screw and secure it. That should be pretty tight. And now what I'm going to do is just shoot some brads from the inside. And because I didn't use glue, I think I'll run some 1¼ screws through the inside. But that should be pretty good. Alright guys, so I got this thing pretty much wrapped up. I'm gonna call it my small engine / repair table. And basically it was just the top and the legs, and I kind of filled in the drawers. I put the screwdriver racks on each side. They're basically, they're just like the angle iron that you'd use to hang up a garage door. And I widened the holes a little bit. And as I said, I put drawers on both sides of this thing. These will pull out pretty nicely and give me good access. I guess I can go through and clean these up a little bit, but it should be, you know, easy to find my tools and work with this thing. And I put screwdrivers on that side as well. So anyhow, I'm double wide 6. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to a little brad nailer. This one's a Boss Stitch 18 gauge. And real handy for making the drawers, and as you saw in the video, for nailing, face nailing the drawer faces on. So check out the description. Please rate, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you.